The windows of King's Motors shone like well-brushed teeth. Inside, everything smelled of leather, gasoline, and contempt. Lucas opened Andre's arm, hesitating before pushing the glass door open. "Let's go, man. Have you seen the Mustang? 1970. Red interior," Andre said, his eyes hungry for speed. They went in. The background music was muffled, but the tension was not. Two salesmen stopped talking. A third, blonde in a beige blazer, frowned and whispered something into the radio attached to his belt. Lucas tried to stay focused. "We're clean, just look and get out," he thought. But Andre went straight to the car, pressing his face against the glass. "Hey." The voice came like a siren. A security guard moved in. "What are you doing here?" "Looking." "Is it allowed?" Lucas replied calmly. "Don't mess with me, kid." Earl Whitman appeared behind the counter. He walked slowly as if the ground belonged to him. He stopped a meter away. "Guys, this is no place for you. I'm going to look for trouble somewhere else." "Trouble? We're just selling cars," Andre responded. Earl said, but without looking. "I know your type. First of all, get out, now." Lucas tried to pull Andre away, but he didn't move. That's when Earl said, "Security, get them out." "I won't do it again." In seconds, two of them brutally pushed them out the door. The crowd on the sidewalk saw it. A man with a camera recorded everything. Andre said as he was dragged away, "We just wanted to look at the car, you racist." The window closed with a snap. Silence fell, but only for a moment. The video spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. The sound of the tape spinning on the reel-to-reel recorder echoed in Mrs. Watkins's living room. The news replayed the images. Lucas and Andre being dragged down the street, their eyes burning, the crowd starting to stir. "Damn pigs," Andre's grandmother muttered, turning off the TV with a sharp click. Outside, neighborhood kids were already making noise. Improvised signs, cans being banged, voices demanding justice. Lucas watched it all from the window, tense. He didn't want to be a symbol of anything. He wanted to build, he wanted engines. But now, it was impossible to ignore the fire. "They're doing this for you," Andre said, coming in with his dust-stained sneakers. "But I didn't ask to be a martyr. I wanted the Mustang, that's all." "And you'll get it. Even better," Lucas replied. "But not by shouting." Across town, Dorothy Reed was hanging up the phone. The viral video played on her desk. Her gaze was fixed on Lucas as he, despite being humiliated, held his friend firmly. She saw something rare, something that not all the millions of dollars in her company could buy. "These two have engines," she murmured, "and they just need steering." Hours later, a black Buick stopped in front of Andre's house. The door opened. Dorothy stepped out, wearing a straight dress, without jewelry, but with a presence that silenced the streets. "Which one of you is the engineer?" she asked directly without introducing herself. Andre and Lucas looked at each other. Lucas took a step forward. "Both of us, but I work with engines." She nodded. "I'll be direct. I saw the video. I didn't come with flowers or excuses. I came with a proposal. I work with innovation. And you are a spark that can turn into a fire." Andre gave a short laugh. "We don't even have a degree, young lady. And I didn't even finish high school, but I bought 3 startups and now I'm part of a fund that wants to invest in young people with ideas and courage." "This isn't a movie, no," Lucas said suspiciously. "And it doesn't need to be. You have 30 days to put together something that works, something that speaks for you. A car, a concept, a vision. If you succeed, I'll take you back to that store, but not to look at it." She held out a card. "To buy it." Silence. The world seemed to hold its breath. "What if we agree?" Andre asked. "Then stop yelling and start building." The car disappeared into the night. Behind it, there was a card and an insane idea planted in 2 boys. Justice wouldn't come with stones, but with pistons. The garage was in the back of the Brooklyn Baptist Church, where Lucas's father preached every Sunday with a firm voice and open arms. It was old, smelling of dried oil and rotten wood, but to Lucas, It was sacred ground. "Are you going to save the world in there?" Pastor Evans shouted, laughing at the door as he wiped his hands with a rag. "Just start by fixing ours," Lucas replied. On the floor, a pile of forgotten parts. Broken engines, tangled cables, a rusted Pontiac body that had seen better days. Andre walked in with his backpack on his back and a radio strapped to his shoulder. The loud sound of James Brown filled the space. First music, second, coffee, third, revolution, he said, throwing the backpack on the floor and taking out a scribbled notebook. Lucas was already on his knees dismantling a gearbox. Dorothy said 30 days. "We don't have time for nonsense." "No nonsense, my friend. I'm talking about creating a car with a soul, something of our own." Silence for a second. The radio was crackling. Outside, the city went on with its routine. "What do you think?" Lucas broke the silence. Andre pulled out his notebook, turned a crumpled page and pointed. "An auxiliary electric motor, not 100% electric, but hybrid. Something that carries energy while it runs, like a heart and lungs, a car that breathes." "That's crazy and brilliant." Lucas's eyes shone for a moment. Andre smiled. That was how they worked. Lucas dismantled the world. Andre reinvented it. During the following days, they slept little. They ate hard sandwiches, took turns welding, testing, and failed ideas. They laughed, shouted, argued. At dawn on the 9th day, there was an explosion. Smoke on the roof. "Damn!" Lucas threw the key on the floor. "This will never work. We're just kids with adult dreams." Andre grabbed a cloth, coughing. He coughed again. Then he stopped and said more seriously, "Do you think it was by chance that she chose us? There are a lot of black people with dreams, but she saw something. If we can't do this, then they win." Lucas didn't answer. He took the key back. He gritted his teeth. In the corner of the workshop, a lit candle flickered in front of a cross made of scrap metal. The car still wouldn't start, but faith, that was already moving. The smoke from Earl Whitman's cigar drifted across the ceiling of the room, a reminder of a time he refused to forget. He sat in his leather chair, silently watching the same video for the 100th time. 2 black kids being dragged out of his store. The world called it racism. He called it instinct. "You should have arrested them, not just thrown them out," he muttered, taking a deep drag. In the back of the room, a portrait of a young man smiled. Military uniform, bright eyes, framed in gold letters, Jonathan Whitman, 1952-1971. Earl stood. He walked over to the portrait. He ran his hand over the glass. "You never got a chance to see this rotten world for what it is, Johnny. They say they've changed, but they've just learned to hide it better." He turned, grabbed a glass of whiskey, and threw half of it down his throat. The ringing of the phone interrupted the ritual. "Speak." "Mr. Whitman, the management of the parent company saw the videos. They want a statement. And we lost 2 big investors. Things are bad. Tell them to go to hell. I built this store from scratch. They're not going to teach me what security is. Sir, it looks like the boys are being sponsored by Dorothy Reed." Silence. Earl squeezed the glass until it cracked. That woman. He didn't finish. He just threw the glass at the wall. Early the next day, Earl showed up at the dealership. The salesman fell silent. The manager, pale, tried to smile. "Did any of them come back here?" "No, sir." "If they do, don't touch me. Don't talk. Call me. I'll take care of this." The man went into his office and locked the door. From the safe, he took out a small box. Inside were old letters, some medals, a photo torn in half. Johnny Whitman, hugging a young black man. Both smiling, both wearing protest gear. Earl stared at the image as if it were poison. He folded it, tore it up again, and burned it right there in an ashtray. But there were cracks in its concrete, and every one of them bore his son's name. The day was gray, but Andre's eyes shone like high beams. The prototype, dubbed the Sparrow, was assembled. It was ugly, unpainted, with plates taped together and the bodywork still showing signs of welding. But it ran. Do you think it can handle 5 laps? Lucas asked, running his dirty fingers over the hood. With faith, and if the welding holds, maybe 6, Andre replied, biting his lip. The community center parking lot had been cleared for the demonstration. Dorothy was there, watching from a distance with an unreadable look in her eyes. 2 investors from the fund also came, with pressed suits and clipboards. And to everyone's surprise, a local TV crew showed up to cover Innovation Born of Injustice. Lucas and Andre looked at each other. The world seemed too big again. Time to talk, Andre said, running his hand through his hair. Or are you going? I'm going. You take care of the machine. Lucas grabbed the improvised microphone, took a deep breath and said, This one is our cry. Not with anger, but with ideas. The world tried to silence us, but now it will hear our engine. Timid applause. A cameraman adjusted the focus. Andre turned the key. A tense silence. The car purred. The first lap was slow, but solid. The second faster. Dorothy crossed her arms for the first time without a hard expression. On the third lap, a dry explosion. Blue smoke. The car coughed. It stopped in the middle of the track. Damn it, Andre shouted, jumping out, coughing. You shouldn't have tested the new converter. It wasn't ready, I told you. Lucas kicked the ground. This was our chance. The investors were already putting away their notes. The TV turned off the camera. Dorothy just turned around. Wait, Andre shouted. It was just a mistake. We can... But she was already leaving. At the end of the parking lot, someone laughed out loud. A white boy with a backwards cap and a leather jacket said, Nice protest, huh? They tried to make a car. They managed to make smoke. Lucas stood still. The world seemed like an echo of laughter and judging eyes. Andre slowly lowered the hood. The car was silent. We just wanted to show that we could build, that we weren't just 2 more expelled people. Lucas looked at the sky. It was really gray, but the spark was still smoking. The workshop looked like a wounded body, cables thrown around, tools out of place, the hood of the Sparrow raised like an open mouth in agony. Lucas was fiddling with a blowtorch, his face as hard as iron. Andre was in the back, silent, scribbling circuits on a blackboard stained with oil. 3 days passed without exchanging more than 3 sentences. On the 4th day, the doorbell rang. It was Dorothy. In a dark suit without makeup, eyes sunken. You failed, everyone saw it, Lucas nodded. Andre crossed his arms. But failure is also construction. Only those who continue have value. She took something out of her pocket. It was a key. I have a warehouse with better structure in Newark, with real equipment, but it has a cost. How much? Lucas asked. You have 14 days, not 1 more. If you can show the car working, I'll take you back to the dealership. But if not, it's over. No money, no press, no return. She left without waiting for an answer. That night they went to the warehouse. It was huge, cold, abandoned for years, but it had a structure. Winches, an electrical bench, stable power. It looks like a monster's womb, Andre muttered, turning on the fluorescent lights with a snap. Let's make it come alive then, Lucas replied. They started again, and it was there, among new parts and patched up hope, that they discovered the sabotage. Andre rummaged through the box of old components, looking for the microprocessor they had tested weeks ago, but the data was wrong. The cables were cut. Someone had messed with it. This was on purpose. The converter exploded because someone reversed the connections. Lucas looked at him in disbelief. Are you saying they sabotaged us? I left the door unlocked one day. After the TV interview, someone had access. Silence. Was it that kid in the jacket? The one with the laugh? I don't know, but someone doesn't want us to win. Lucas took a deep breath. So now, we have one more reason to make this car fly. The next morning, The sound of welding and engines filled the warehouse. Lucas was in charge of the structural part. Andre was rebuilding the electrical systems. On the other side of town, Earl Whitman was reading the report sent by one of his undercover salesmen. Prototype destroyed, but they're getting back on their feet. They're using Dorothy's warehouse in Newark, and there's progress. Earl folded the paper. His eyes were blank. Then a cold order. Cut off the power supply. If they don't die in the heat, they'll die in the dark. But that night, even without light, even with the cold, even with everything against it, the engine gave its first real roar, and Lucas looked at Andre as if to say, "Now it's going to happen." The new Sparrow looked like a different creature. The bodywork, now smooth, painted a metallic tone that varied between wine and black in the sun, gave it an aura of life. The headlights had a discreet glow, and under the hood, the redesigned, hybrid system, ready to respond with strength, silence, and precision. Lucas wore a white shirt, suspenders, and polished shoes. Andre came in a navy blue blazer and a confident smile. "This looks like a rich man's funeral," said Andre, adjusting his collar. "It's not a funeral. It's a resurrection," replied Lucas. In the back seat, 2 cameras were ready. Dorothy would meet them in front of King's Motors at 10 a.m. sharp. The sidewalk in front of the dealership was busy. Reporters, curious people, a few suspicious customers. And inside the store, Earl Whitman watched through the window with wide eyes. He didn't know what he expected more, the collapse or the confrontation. The Sparrow parked in the main space of the store. No roar. No smoke. A silence that spoke volumes. Lucas and Andre got out slowly. They went to the glass door. Security appeared, one of the same men from the day of the expulsion. "Did you come for another walk?" Dorothy appeared behind them at that moment, wearing a beige dress and holding a contract. "No. They came to make a proposal." Silence. The manager ran to Earl. The old owner walked to the door as if he was going to face ghosts. He opened it slowly. "Is this provocation?" Lucas held out his hand. Eyes to eye. "This is progress." Earl didn't answer. He kept looking at the 2 of them, as if he was still looking for something to hate or someone who was no longer there. Andre smiled calmly. "We can talk here. Or in front of everyone." Earl stepped back. He opened the door all the way. Inside the store, the world was spinning slowly. Dorothy placed the contract on the glass table. "These boys are proposing a minority partnership in 3 King's stores. Starting with this one. The fund guarantees the investment, the public image. They've already earned it." Earl read it, trembling. "Why don't they buy everything at once?" "Because we don't want to destroy. We want to build. Together, if possible," Lucas replied, and that's when Earl saw it. He saw his son's eyes. The same brightness, the same courage, but he didn't speak. He just signed. Outside, the Sparrow still shone. Not as a symbol of revenge, but as a testament to overcoming. The headline was in the local paper, "Kids expelled from King's Motors return as investors." The Sparrow was in the photo. Lucas's serious face, Andre's smile, the signed contract on the store counter. In less than 12 hours, the story had gone around the country. Radio, TV, even Detroit newspapers were talking about it. In Brooklyn, children were drawing pictures of the car. At the church workshop, teenagers were coming to see it up close. Even a group of young white people showed up to chat, shy and curious. Lucas welcomed them with crossed arms but without coldness. "What we're doing here, it's not just about skin. It's about the courage to change." Dorothy just watched everything with that half smile she only showed when she saw a seed turning into a tree. Meanwhile, Earl was crumbling, alone in the office, refusing calls, ignoring PR notices. The TV in the corner repeated the scene. Him, signing the contract. On the shelf, the picture of his son. It was 3 a.m. when he finally gave in. He opened the box with the old letters, and for the first time, he read them all. "Dad, I know you hate the way I see the world, but I see a world that can be better, not with guns but with bridges. I hope that one day you'll understand. On the last page, a picture. Jonathan and a black boy. No names, no caption. Just a smile of brotherhood that spanned decades. Earl sank into the chair. For the first time, no certainties. Just dust and echo. The next morning, he showed up at the store. No suit, no cigar. Just him. Lucas was outside instructing 2 technicians on a new design tweak. Earl approached slowly. He looked at the car. Then he looked at Lucas. My son, he met someone like you. They fought together. He died for this? Lucas didn't answer. He just listened. I never understood. I only saw anger, screams. I never saw the engine behind me. Pause. Now I see. Lucas finally spoke. We are not your enemies, Mr. Whitman. But perhaps we are the chance for redemption your son dreamed of. Earl nodded. No drama, no tears, just truth. He turned his back and walked away. In the reflection of the window, the sparrow shone, but now what really shone was the future. The new warehouse was busy. It wasn't just Lucas and Andre anymore. There were more hands, more ideas, more voices. But what no one expected that late afternoon was him. A thin man, a wrinkled gray suit, a thin beard, and deep-set eyes, as if he were carrying time on his shoulders. He arrived without speaking, just observing. Dorothy recognized him immediately. She turned pale. Gerald? The man nodded. Lucas and Andre approached, suspicious. Who is it? Lucas asked politely but directly. I'm what's left of a friend. From a time. From a fight. Gerald's voice was rough, worn like old asphalt. Dorothy pulled the 2 aside, whispering, he was Jonathan Whitman's companion. They fought together in the protests in '70. He ran away after everything fell apart. Gerald took a photo out of his pocket. It was the same photo Earl had burned, but in one piece. Jonathan on one side. Gerald on the other. He was like a brother to me. More than that. He believed he could change his own father. He almost did. Almost? Andre asked. We were followed. Shot at. The police said it was a mistake, but we know. Silence. And, why did you come now? Lucas asked. Because you remind me of him. Only freer. More ready. He handed Lucas a letter. It was from Jonathan himself, never sent to his father. Gerald had kept it for years, waiting for the right moment. Lucas read it aloud. If you ever find 2 young people with the courage to do what I have only dreamed of, don't fear them. Don't destroy them. Walk with them. Lucas swallowed. Hard. This changes everything. This connects everything. This is the end of a cycle, said Dorothy. Moved. Gerald was already leaving when Andre stopped him. Wait. Are you still carrying all this alone? Not anymore, boy. And he disappeared through the streets of Newark, like a shadow that finally found the light. The morning sun reflected off the Sparrow as if the car were breathing. The bright metallic paint, the sound of the hybrid engine as clear as a wordless psalm. On the sidewalk of the new dealership, now renamed Sparrow Motors, a crowd had gathered. Lucas and Andre were side by side, as always. Remember when we just wanted to see the Mustang? Said Andre, adjusting the collar of his blazer with one hand, his badge with the other. Now we drive the future, replied Lucas seriously, but with that little smile on his face. At the back of the store, Earl Whitman, wearing a simple beret, was watching everything. No paperwork, no control, just attentive eyes. He no longer drove anything there, but he chose to be present. And that for him was harder than commanding. The press surrounded the car. It was the official launch of the prototype, the brand's first model, which was already attracting the attention of universities and companies in the automotive sector. A symbol, but also a promise. That creation was more powerful than destruction. Lucas took the microphone. We started this here by being kicked out. but we understood that a closed door is just an invitation to build a new one. The sparrow was born out of injustice, yes, but it lives for something greater, for what is right, for what it builds, for the truth. The crowd applauded, but there was something else. A 9-year-old boy walked through the crowd, black, thin, with a miniature cardboard car in his hand. Uncle Lucas, Uncle Andre, can I be an engineer too? Andre bent down. He picked up the toy car. You can. And you'll be better than us. Dorothy smiled with her teeth for the first time. On the road, the sparrow set off in a parade, but Lucas drove slowly. Why so slowly? Andre asked, half laughing. Because we've already won that race. Asphalt stretched out in front of them, long open without signs. The future was theirs.